Faith Forged in Fire, where we dive headfirst into the unique challenges and triumphs that comes with being a firefighter, all while exploring what it means to live out a biblical worldview. Join us as we find hope, perseverance, and faith in the midst of the heat and chaos. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the Faith Forged in Fire podcast, but this is not just any old podcast tonight.
It's not?
Today, this morning, whatever. No, we have hit a milestone.
Woo!
A milestone that I guess I'm kind of excited about. Well,
10 listeners.
Let's back up.
High five.
Rich,
So 10 listeners are excited about it?
Rich and I have hit a milestone.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, you guys have got to be like the oldest podcast. It's at 90.
We are on our 50th episode. This is our 50th episode.
We qualify
So-
for AARP.
So we wanted to do something special, which means we have no clue what we're going to do. And it's going to be a short one. We're just going to treat ourselves to a break tonight. Yeah.
That's right.
Or this morning or whatever it is, whenever you're listening, you fill in the time of day. So, yeah.
Are we going to announce Steve's retirement?
Yes.
I mean, the voters
Overwhelmingly.
hands down
Yeah.
hated
Yeah.
last week's
Steve.
YouTube video because of that stupid dumpers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
now
Steve doesn't know that I monitor the FFIF podcast at gmail.com, and
Yeah.
I saw seveal complaints
Hate
about
mail.
in his shirt now. ND, is that no defense? Is that what that is?
Oh, wow.
I'm just not even sure how we did not vet him good enough.
Hey,
before we let him on.
Whoa. Time out, coach. Don't say we.
You knew him better than I
I
did.
left, and when I came back, he was hired. That's on you,
There you go.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
Jake.
You know what?
Don't laugh. It was the same for you too.
No, it wasn't. I bought my way on.
That's true. That is true. we got mics. We got mics. It's no.
That's
If everybody
right.
sees, I'm wearing my.
I think everybody bought their own mic.
Got my Notre Dame gear, and hopefully by the time we listen to this, we're talking about the college football playoff.
This is the day where it's just so much nicer to be listening to this on the podcast, so you don't have to see that.
Yeah, you don't have to do that.
Yeah. For anybody that doesn't
Actually,
want to
the
see,
joke is on Steve. This isn't going to YouTube.
No, I don't want a YouTube strike against us.
Yeah. Again.
Again,
Last week's.
why did YouTube blur out one side of the video?
Is this going to be one of these podcasts when I watch it on YouTube Friday morning? It's just going to have our backdrop on it.
Yeah.
We're going to say the camera didn't work.
the Bears.
So what is our
Irish,
topic
yeah.
for tonight?
Well, whatever
really
we want it
have
to be.
one,
you know?
a topic?
Well, I thought about this. I was going to ask you guys this for one. What was your favorite episode? So everybody can answer, even though you maybe haven't been on the whole time. I have a couple that I'll mention. So what was your favorite episode? Somebody
wow.
wants to
Start down the line there.
Oh man,
Bears fan.
Man, I know I didn't give anybody opportunity to think. I actually went back and kind of looked through them a little bit.
Well, that's why I'm telling him to start, because I need time to think.
Exactly.
Let me
I
jump to
will
YouTube.
say this. Well, so you don't talk about this because that's going to distract you. You think about your favorite episode.
No,
So I'm going to say this: our
four
most
of them.
watched and listened to episode was Steve's when Steve was on.
yeah.
But I think that's because he just wanted everybody
Don't give him that.
listen to this.
Don't give him that.
Do you know how many?
Hey, you want 10% off that turnout gear?
Listen to this
Exactly.
podcast.
Exactly. You have no idea how many people I bribed to watch this thing, so I
no,
get
that's
them ratings
okay.
up.
Handing
No.
out suckers at church.
It was cool to see what the Lord did with that one. That was
And which
that
one was
fun.
that?
You mean number wise? Like
What was the topic? You said the one that Steve was on, and he
Just
That
his
was
story.
because
he's
he
like
loved
his
this.
thumb on our
his
shoe.
first
I mean,
one.
we stepped
Yeah.
in it, and he's been
Yeah.
here.
I couldn't get rid of me.
I know.
The-
So what was
the-
your
if
favorite
the numbers
episode?
were bad, I wouldn't be here. That's
So
what the
what's your
numbers were.
No,
Well, they
no.
tanked after that.
I have to say obviously the favorite, but for a number of reasons, was the one that I was on, where my testimony, because first and foremost, it's always, as I talked to you guys about before, I didn't know what my purpose was here in Michigan since I left. So driving away that night, knowing that I see where God's bringing me. And
He knows how to lay on the guilt, so we can't get rid of it.
No,
Because this is
exactly,
supposed to be like
exactly.
God's purpose for his life.
See,
He's a
yeah,
free agent.
don't disappoint the Lord. So, but
Look
no,
at him. He's the only one laughing.
I know. No, it was
Me and God have talked. We're all
yeah, we were all good. We're all
got
thank
this
you, Lord.
covered.
Thank you. So no, but I think that was just because of. It was unexpected. It was just going to be like, I mean, first and foremost, being able to be on a podcast. I've never done that before. And to be able to share, because to me, the testimony, I look at the testimony as God's used my life and used this horrible things that I've gone through for his purpose. And people, I've known people that have heard the testimony and there's been a seed plant of some kind. So to me, I love that God shares the story, that love story, like I talked about with people. So to have that opportunity to do it on a platform like this was so much fun and so cool. And then again, it was a great experience. And then just knowing that when I left and you guys were like, hey man, come on back. It was just such a moment for myself spiritually and just where I was at the time where thank you, Lord, for giving me an answer because I wasn't sure. I was like kind of giving up like, well, maybe you're not using me anymore. Maybe I'm just going to be a dad and, and just an employee dad / husband. And, now I just go to church on Sunday. That's it. You're not using anything anymore like you did before. Maybe I'm done being used. And so to see that was just awesome to see that, because I'm so passionate about the Lord and the testimony and that ministry and the gospel. So that to me was fun. But to be honest, there's been so many of them because we have so much fun here.
Yeah.
I mean, really, just sitting here and laughing with you guys and having fun and making fun of each other. And
I don't know how many times I've almost spit water or coffee or something on my microphone.
we all bring something to the table, and it's hilarious. I mean, Rich, your one-liners sometimes, I tell you, just some things you come out of your mouth are just amazing. Jake and Josh, all you guys bring something to the table that we have so much fun here. So really, every episode is kind of fun because we get a chance to hang out. Because every episode's great. It's always bringing something great to the table in one way or the other. So it's hard to really pinpoint just one per se.
And what's kind of funny about that is that what the viewers and listeners don't know are the behind the scenes conversations that we have about coming up with episodes and everything. And as difficult as it's been, we've never run out of ideas.
No, we have a whole list of ideas.
Always something that comes up that we're like, oh yeah, we have to talk about that. We have to talk about that. So it's cool to see God use this and plant those seeds and
Well, and by the way, the two topics. So next week's episode is going to be another interview. We hope you guys enjoyed last week's interview. We're going to do another interview, but then I know that the next two topics after that are listener topics. So that's the other cool thing. But I was going to say, Steve, back to yours. I think the Lord knew what he was doing even in that because Rich and I had kind of hit a point with just the two of us. We were still doing it, but just the work and everything else going on, you coming along, it breathed life and it made it. We're much more purposeful. We've been very much more purposeful now since it became 3 and then 4. And so I'll say, we'll come back to that. I don't want to get off topic.
Too late.
So Jake, what about you? Do you have a favorite episode?
Just calling it like it is.
No, I don't know.
Can it count that for mine be the one that when CPR or whatever his name is over there took my place? That was a good one.
That was pretty funny. I think I don't know. There's a couple that stand out in my mind where we just started the podcast just cracking.
Oh
up.
yeah,
which just they stand out because I love to laugh and I think that was just it's a great intro when people get to actually see what we're like when we're not actually trying to do the podcast. We're just being us. The asking for forgiveness that
was probably that has to be a
that cracked me up, and then Steve mentioning my hat change, and I'm like, it's been like a week, Steve. Like, why are you still in the same clothes? A couple of those they really cracked me up. There were some. What's funny is that we shoot the podcast. It doesn't necessarily come out right when we it's not live or anything. And so I forget about it. I get busy with my day-to-day life and everything. And then I come back and I listen to it and then I get to crack up about it all over again. It's like, oh, that's right. So,
I do the same thing editing them. Like it'll take me a little longer to edit, especially in the beginning, because I get sucked into laughing at whatever
the little snippets you send us. Crack me up. So no, I like all of them, man. It's fun to be here and do this and watch God use it.
Yeah. So I'll say for our listeners, I have actually switched the editing on purpose. So when Rich and I were doing it, there was like, we wanted that like nice podcast intro. And I think at least the response we've gotten back from listeners, that's part of what they want. They like, they see us for who we are. Yeah. And so I don't even try. Like we just turn the camera on if we're laughing, if we're talking about something.
And then what happens. Yeah.
You just kind of drop in the middle of whatever's going on. And I do that intentionally now. And I don't know that people have picked that up, but we know that, but I just intentionally because that's kind of how it started is we'd do something funny would happen. And I'd be like, well, the camera's on. And then I'd throw that in there, and then it just became like, hey, we're just going to turn the camera on, and it is what it is.
We're just normal people other than the north side.
Oh, man.
That's funny.
Well, that is the fun thing is that it's for the viewer here is that none of this is scripted. We don't have cue cards. No. We don't rehearse this stuff. No. We literally just have a subject.
It shows.
I know it does. We just have
maybe there's somebody going, man, maybe you should try that your next 50 episodes.
Maybe script that.
The thing though is if they want that, they need to send that in.
Yeah, that's right. There you go. There you go, Steve. There's your shot.
That is something being we have.
Shoot your shot, man.
Yeah.
FFIF.
Oh, really? He's going.
Come on. I'm sorry. That's what I would expect from a Bears fan.
I told you that was his IQ.
Oh, you mean that 54 he was wearing earlier was his IQ?
No, the 3. 54 was his credit score.
Ouch. Am I bleeding?
How come it's Steve that always gets picked on?
It's always the guy.
Because we love it.
We got to change seats is what it is. Well, FFIF podcast at gmail.com. Sure. You know what we got to do? This is what we have to do. We need to encourage people to get on that. What we need to do is the first person. Hey.
No, it just reminded me of the creepy way you did the intro that one time. You were just like, welcome to Faith Forged in Fire. It's like, why are you saying it like that? And he had just
done this radio voice or something that we were all expecting.
Oh my goodness. It was so unexpected.
That was
I about so funny. Water under the mic.
Oh, that was so funny. No, well, we should do a thing because we get the email going. If a listener gives us a show idea on the email or something like that, we should do a bag of coffee or something like that. Kind of get the
Are you buying it for him?
We thought he was going to have a show idea.
Oh, the first one, just one, the first one, or something like that. We got to do something like that to kind of.
We're going to have 300 people. Oh, this is just the first one.
Yeah, no, not everybody, but the first one. The first one.
Oh, okay, all right. I get what you're saying.
Maybe the one we pick. Like they can send them. That's incentive to be a good idea.
Yeah, give us a good show. Give us a good show idea. Here we go, Jake. Are you cool with this?
Wow, he has to be.
I don't know, Steve. You're putting me on the spot. Am I cool with it? So here, listen.
Well, listen.
You send us an idea, and if we choose it, Steve will buy you a bag of coffee.
Here's the deal, Steve. The code is PJ30. Get 30% off and save yourself 30% on the bag of coffee.
That's true.
Jake will send it. You buy it.
I will buy it.
Steve's like, I guess I dug myself a hole.
I will buy. Okay,
Steve will also send you a creepy voicemail, just like he introed.
And instructions for opening the coffee.
I will actually do a video, and I will show you how to open the bag of coffee.
That's a great idea.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Can we do that, PJ? Can we do that for have a...
Oh, we absolutely can do a one-off demo.
In a couple of weeks, we could have Steve do a demo.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll dress up like Vanna White. And
wow.
So you normally
I'm all of a sudden not feeling so well. I don't think I'm going for that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, man.
So anyway, yeah, and this honestly, this is kind of what I was hoping this would be, just some fun.
Some camaraderie.
Remembering. And what we've always said is we kind of want this to feel like you're sitting around the firehouse table. And that's, the jabbing and all that. That's really, that's
fun fact about that. Episode 26 is when we got the table.
Yes.
And then it'll be what is this, episode 50?
Yeah.
So it'll probably be 54, 5, something like that, and it'll look probably different.
Oh,
I'm just saying.
They call that foreshadowing.
Yeah.
an Easter egg.
Dun, dun, dun.
That's
You
right.
have to have like the music that goes along. Dun, dun, dun. Man, you know, you're surprised.
When you walk
All
into
right,
a room,
all right.
yes.
Rich, favorite episode?
Of ours?
Yeah. You have one.
I guess
Or favorite
if you were
moment, maybe,
if you
whatever.
were just saying that it was episode 26 when we ended up getting the table, I think whatever that topic was wasn't necessarily the topic, but like you were saying, for a while, you asked me to do this, and I kind of had an idea you were going to ask me, and I'm going like, oh no, PJ's got this idea, and I have a feeling that I'm going to draw the short straw. He's going to ask me, oh no, and then you did, and I went, yep, I'd be happy to. Lie. But we did it because I felt that
He'd also like to ask for forgiveness for lying to you.
yeah, but maybe that was something that you saw in me that I didn't see in myself, that was an opportunity. And if I wasn't seeing it, but you were, maybe that was just, I had to trust you enough. I mean, you've not led me astray yet. I mean, you did lead me.
That's a lot of pressure.
You did lead me to eternal life. So, I think that was one of my favorites because, like you were saying, we were coming up with subjects and they weren't real deep. And I think we were to the point where we were kind of doing a podcast to do a podcast.
Right.
And we were doing it because we were hoping to reach, a person.
Right.
And we didn't want to quit because maybe we hadn't reached that person yet. So I think when we moved up here into your real studio for your other shows, that we got the table and stuff, but I think then we got this guy down here. But the table was nice. But I think then I kind of realized that maybe what we're doing is going to make a difference. Mm-hmm. It just didn't fall flat on its face,
Right.
and it just die off, and I kind of go like, yeah, well, whatever. Check that off the list.
Right.
We tried, it didn't work. And I think moving up here, it kind of made it expand. Now that we're 4 people, I think now it's starting to feel a little more realistic. Like maybe this was something that was, put on my heart and your heart. It wasn't just something we're just going to do it to do it. What the heck? We had better things to do. We were doing Bible study.
Yeah.
And so this really cut into the you and me time. Bible study and counseling. I mean, you did a lot more counseling with me than you did Bible study, and I know you hate that, but you don't like that word, but that's what it was. It was the one-on-one discipleship stuff. So I think moving up here really was kind of more of a showing that maybe this is a calling.
Commitment, kind of, yeah. And then with Jake and the 4 of us,
we're going down the right path, and maybe there is a good chance that maybe instead of leading one, we're going to lead a few more.
And now we're steadily, it's slow. I mean, we're not making we joke about our tens of listeners, right? But it's slow growth, but we are growing. Right. And we're not, it's not like we are like, well, we're not successful unless we have 1,000 listeners or thousands of listeners. We have seen since we put the 4 of us together and kind of made that commitment, and what I would say is even better topics, because you're right, there kind of came a point where we're like, man, and now we're just we're hearing of people going to church for the first time, or just all kinds of stuff.
Amazing.
And running into people that listen that you would never guess would listen, and it's just super encouraging. The other thing that I've found super encouraging is, even though we don't have a lot of listeners, they're committed listeners. We have an incredible group of just like regular listeners, and they bring up, like, I'll interact with them and they'll bring up like the side jokes that they've been listening. Like, I don't know, we one episode way back, we just kind of said something about the Behind Your Backs podcast, and it's kind of taken on a life. I've had people, I can't tell you how many people, where do I find Rich's podcast? And I have to tell them, like, no, you can't. Like,
that's
but they're
awesome.
listening, and that's so cool to me.
It is very cool.
I do think that if I was to go back through and grudgingly listen to all 50 podcasts again, that some of my favorite would be the viewer ideas. Because we sit down and we come up with them, and it's a million text, and I'll reply on the way, or like Wednesday at lunch, like, hey, yeah, that's a good idea. And then I get here and I'm going like, so what are we covering tonight? And Jake's like, idiot. We talked about it at lunch, kind of deal. Right. But I do really like the viewer ideas.
Yeah.
Because I think that, and I'll pick on Steve just because he's on the other end of the table and his reach isn't that far. If Steve comes up with a topic, I feel like we came up with a topic and it's probably going to be a good topic, but we're answering Steve's question, which we could have done sitting here.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas if there's a reader from wherever or a watcher from wherever that emails us at FFIF podcast.
Wow, that was better than mine.
So, yeah, I practiced. But if we get that,
He was in the bathroom practicing in front of the mirror earlier.
then we feel like
We know at least one person, right?
Yeah, exactly.
but we're helping that
Somebody,
person,
right.
Yes.
It's not like Steve came up with a question and we're gonna answer Steve's question.
And if-
we could have
yeah,
done that in a
absolutely.
text message, but if it's a viewer
Right.
or a listener, then we feel like, okay,
Yeah.
we're going to reply.
And if they have that question, other people have that question.
Exactly.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
I just love the
So again,
interaction. Love the
please
interaction.
give us ideas. Like we genuinely, when we say that, I've said many times on the show, if we never have to come up with another show idea,
right.
we would
Awesome.
love that. We want to answer your questions.
And we do, like I said earlier, like things keep coming to us, but I would much rather do, a subject that somebody wants to hear about rather than just hoping that somebody wants to hear it. And I do want to clarify, I joked earlier about buying my way onto the podcast as a sponsor and all that, but really, I had to think about it because you had mentioned it to me before, and I was like, I want to talk to my wife about it and pray on it and everything. And I just kept feeling this like nudge to do it. And then after a while, I talked to Steve not that long ago about like, man, I don't know that I can keep doing this. Just life is busy, and it continues to get busy, and more things keep coming up. And every time that I get that, I'm just like, all right, God, like, tell me what you want me to do. Like, show me what you want me to do. And then I get here and I'm like, nah, I'm where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
and it's just like I walk through the door and it's like, except for, earlier when I was on the phone.
Goofy guy with the hat.
I thought we were going to have a spicy podcast after that one.
No, it was all right. It was just,
he got the spiciness out before.
He threw up in his mouth for a minute. I saw it.
We brought it back. I'm like, we got to talk to some guy online here. I got to be nice. But no, that was truly like, it was kind of eye opening for me with, praying about this and saying like, man, is this really what I should be doing? And, but no, I'm glad that you guys invited me on, and I appreciate it and excited to.
I don't think the listener. I mean, I don't mean to put down the listeners. It's not easy. The more people you add, the harder it gets.
Yeah.
Because there's schedules. There's I have a YouTube channel that I'm the only person. Oh, well, I can sit down at 2:00 in the morning and record a video if I want to.
But you don't.
But I don't. No. But we're getting there.
You haven't done one since
June, and to the point, it's because of this, right?
Yeah.
And so same thing. I think all of us have come to a point over this last year of going, okay, do we need to keep doing this? But we keep seeing results. We keep seeing, so maybe this is a great thing. Email us and just maybe share one blessing that you've got out of this, because that helps. Because just to be transparent, there's times where we're like, are we even helping anybody? There's other things I could be doing. It is a lot of work because we want to come up with good topics and quality shows. So it takes work. And so to hit 50 episodes for us, I think Rich and I never thought we'd ever make it here, because we were about to kind of just say, we tried it, we're done. Let's move on. So we got to be done here, but I want to
real quick before we do.
Yeah,
finish,
go ahead.
You had mentioned about, the more people that you add, the harder it's going to be. And honestly, that was one thing that I considered when, because I was already sponsoring, right?
Right.
Was like, man, how many people is enough with doing, doing the podcast and everything. And one of my concerns was, how is everybody going to get, a word in edgewise, and how are these ideas?
We just all talk.
We just all talk. Yeah, that's how you just have to choose who you're going to listen to all at once. But it is cool to see the way that it has played out and everything. And real quick, we had a viewer from South Africa.
Yes.
Remember that?
Remember
dude?
that?
Yeah, that could
If
be.
you're listening or watching now, please reach out to us.
Yes.
Where? Rich?
Oh, don't take that away from Steve.
FFIF podcast.
But he doesn't
So
like
much-
that.
Gmail.
It's like John Wayne over
But
here.
no, but reach out to us because really, I'd love to send you a hat or some coffee or whatever.
Yeah,
but,
that's
yeah,
sweet.
because he was a firefighter as well.
Yeah.
So
Can you send coffee?
well, yeah,
Is that a legality thing? Can you
probably. Listen,
Put it in the mail. We'll see if
Listen.
it makes it.
Let's do it.
just do it. Just do it.
Anyway.
I'll send you a hat, something to say thanks for listening and everything. But South Africa, that was when my eyes got open to like, all right, maybe this thing is doing something. So
All right. Well, we got to get out of here, but I haven't given my favorite episode yet, and I'm going to give two real quick. So I was looking back through. One of my favorites was when my kids came on. That was before you guys were on, but we had my kids on, and Rich interviewed them. That was a lot of fun. What's it like to grow up in a firefighter household? And so that was really fun. And I would say my favorite, it was my very favorite and still is to this day, was when Rich shared his testimony because of, for me, the many years before that invested. And then it's been a lot of fun to me to listen to Rich and see his growth even through this podcast. And I was even thinking, Rich was like, I didn't know if I want to do this. I remember sitting down in our other studio watching him. Somehow, like, we had this conversation. How can you talk, which is exhaling, but somehow he just kept inhaling, and then I'd see him over there, like he'd stop talking and he'd be like, because he was so nervous.
I remember that.
oh, that's so funny.
Nervous is an understatement.
Wow. You know, it was hard though, for me at least, listening to your testimony, having lived through some of that with you and everything. That was, and then I text you afterwards because I had watched it again, and I was like, I gotta stop watching this. Like, this is just like, it's hard for me to get through it again. Having known you personally while you were going through that, obviously I am happy where we are now, but to relive that was tough. But I'm glad that you shared it, and I'm glad that we are where we are.
All right. Well, guys, thanks so much for listening to our 50th episode.
Yeah.
Great.
So next week we have a really cool interview with a guy that is in the public school, helping teach public safety in the public school. So,
well, just don't let Steve rant about the Bears again. And
No, I won't. I won't say a word.
And make sure next week you come back and watch us on YouTube, because Steve's got a Packers jersey that he's going to wear next week.
And what's fun about that is that you won't see him at all on here.
We'll do a bet about that next year. Okay. Whoever wins, the other person's got to wear the jersey for the episode. But that would be that would be hard. Me wearing the Packers jersey.
I'm not in on that bet.
No.
I couldn't do it. All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Talk to you later.